In this video, we want to get the basic idea about what a limit is. So let's consider this function, f of x. It's a piecewise function. It's 1 when x is larger than 1 or equal to 1. And it's negative 1 when x is less than 1. So let's think about what this looks like. Draw a graph. Okay, so let's say this is x equals 1. This is the x-axis, and this is the f of x axis. So when x is larger or equal to 1, we have f of x equals 1. So this is going to be 1. We have a filled in circle because at 1, f of x is equal to 1. And then as x is larger, it's 1. Alright, then when x is less than 1, f of x is equal to negative 1. So here we have negative 1. And at x equals 1, we're going to have an open circle. And then f of x is going to be equal to negative 1. Right? So now, what happens as we approach x equals 1 from the right? Basically saying, as x gets closer and closer to 1, what does f of x approach? Well, we would be approaching it on this line here. F of x is approaching 1, right? The way to write that is the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the right. The way to write from the right is to put a plus sign there. So the limit as x approaches 1 from the right of f of x is equal to 1. What about as x approaches 1 from the left? Well, we would be approaching on the x-axis from the left, going towards 1. That means that f of x is approaching negative 1. The way to write that is the limit as x approaches 1 from the left of f of x is equal to negative 1. And then, for fun, what is the value of f of x at x equals 1? Well, that's f of 1. And from the definition of this function, we know that at 1, f of x is equal to 1. Okay? One more example. Let's consider this function. F of x. It's another piecewise function. It's going to be sine of x for x not equal to 0. It's going to be 1 at x equals 0. Okay, so let's draw this function. This is our x-axis. This is f of x. So important points for sine, we're going to have pi over 2, pi, negative pi over 2, negative pi. And then we know that doesn't relate to scale, but we know that sine of negative pi is 0, sine of negative pi over 2 is negative 1, sine of 0 is 0, sine of pi over 2 is positive 1, and sine of pi is 0. Okay, so this is negative 1, this is positive 1, but at x equals 0, this is open. And at x equals 0, f of x is equal to positive 1. So just at that one point. So now let's ask, what does f of x approach as x approaches 0 from the right? So x is coming in from the right, it's approaching 0. And what are we doing on f of x? Coming in this way, coming towards 0, like that. See how this gets closer and closer to 0? That means that the limit as x approaches 0 from the right of f of x is equal to 0. What about from the left? X is approaching 0 from the left. That means that f of x, what's it going towards? It's going towards 0 again. So the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of f of x is also 0. Now, same as last time, what actually is f of 0? Well, from the definition of this function, at x equals 0, f of x is equal to 1. 1. We can see that from the graph. As x approaches 0 from the right, it gets close to 0, same from the left. But at 0, it jumps up here and fills in 1. Just at 0, though. Any point on the right or the left, no matter how close to 0 you get, it doesn't actually jump up anywhere. Only right at 0 does it jump up and fill in 1. So if you were tracing, you would come in like this, get closer and closer to 0, closer and closer and closer, oop, jump up there, only at x equals 0, at x equals 0.00000001, you jump right back down and keep tracing like that.